In the Area Truck Series, the racing can sometimes be rough and tumble, and often it's not on the short track. Last time out, the driver that survived this 120-lap race only led one lap, but was able to win the race. That was David Weishart here at Atlanta Motor Speedway in Georgia. Welcome back to SimTV. Kyle Heyer joined by Connor Horn tonight for 120 laps, round 4 of the 2023 Season 5 for the Area Truck Series. Connor, last night you won the race in the Area Cup Series, coming high off of that, up into the booth tonight to call the Truck Series before we head to the Area Florida Staplers Pro Series right here on Thursday.
Yeah, finally in the booth in a good mood, I'll say that. But yeah, fun race yesterday, a crazy race yesterday. A lot of cautions, but a lot of good action. It's going to be a different type of action here tonight. I would say it's not going to be as caution-filled, but seeing these drivers slipping and sliding, maybe it's a different story from what I'm anticipating. These drivers look on edge tonight. But once again, last season, we only had the one caution, but it did end us under green, white, checkered conditions. Like you said in your introduction, it was David Weishart who outlasted everyone, only leading the one lap, but sometimes that's all you need to lead the win here.
Yeah, just one lap. That's all that pays points tonight. 120-degree track temp as well. That might have something to do with why the trucks are handling so poorly. Let's have a look here at the standings setting into the night. John Hall, Nathan Jump, Jake Matheson all locked in with their wins so far here this season. Travis Beckner, the Miller Racing teammate to Jake Matheson, already doing fairly well. So is David Weishart, Jacob L. Mason, Kane, Gary Waterworth. But Kurhan, Scioli, Mark Brannigan, those are the drivers that are in right now as far as the cut line is concerned. Tom Bourne inclusive there. Some drivers that have some work to do. Brad Slaughter, James Shainwolf, everybody in red there, Connor. They've got work to do before we get to the playoffs at the tail end of the regular season. We've got a long way to go, though. We've got Milwaukee, Charlotte, and the Roval, Darlington, Michigan, Homestead, IRP, and Talladega. So plenty of time, but does that decrease the intensity at all, especially heading into a track like this?
I don't think so. I think the intensity is still going to be ramping up big time at a track like this. It's going to be even more increased when we get to the regular season finale at Talladega. It's going to get wild, but looking at this playoff picture, we're starting to see some notable names get to the front, like Scioli. He's finally above the cut line where we expect him to be. Mason Kane, Weishart, Beckner obviously up there. Even Tom Bourne, 5 points to the good. But still some guys in there, a little surprising to see up above it, like Gary Waterworth and also Mark Brannigan. We have not talked about him much all season, but he finds himself 7 points above the cut line. But then guys like Greg Mitchell below the cut line, Justiana Sogak, he made the playoffs last season, 21st in points. Casey Licata's 24th in points. There's a number of drivers below that cut line waiting to get a better start at one of these tracks, just trying to find something to happen good for them. Cameron Hearn, another one. He's 31st in points. He needs something to happen tonight.
Well, one of the trucks that is already locked in, John Hall, and that number 03 Area.Shop machine. He begins his qualifying effort. Cloudy over the speedway right now. That's going to bring the track temp down as we head into our 120-lap race. But the story here, as it has been for the last couple of seasons, that this track has been reprofiled specifically to pack race, and it does that pretty well. As we saw last night, lots of mobility, lots of dramas, but the Truck Series race here last season, Connor, went almost entirely green, and there was a late race yellow that teed up that last lap pass for the win that David Weishart had, but otherwise we see a lot of green flag running here in the Truck Series, a lot of mobility up and down the order, but if there's problems, they can strike very, very quickly, and there's not really anywhere to hide here.
No, nowhere to hide at all. This is not one of those tracks like Talladega where it's wide and you have room to maneuver. It's widest on the front straightaway, but most of that's out of bounds under that red and white line. But in the corners, down the back stretch, even into turn 3, not a lot of room for air. If there's a crash in front of you, you got nowhere to go. That's why I kind of changed my tactic for last night. I usually run at the back, but it just does not work here because the best place you can be to avoid a wreck is in front of it all, because like we said, you're not going to avoid it if you're behind it, most likely.
Jacob Bell rolls out of turn 4, and he'll cross the stripe in the number 77. Put down, well, that lap isn't quite right. 28, that's still not quite right. Let's see what it corrects to. 32.439, good enough for third at an average of 168.26 miles an hour. JT Poole just began his lap, and a couple late entries to the Zoom tonight, but there is JT Poole. Eric Wineland is there, so is Michael Kurhan. Looks like we've got Jake Matheson as well. So 4 drivers on our onboard cameras. Here's JT.
JT not running that paint line. That's something I figured out last night, because on the long run, even in clean air, the rear of the car would really step out. That paint line just grips you up as Poole comes across line 32.448. I'll put him 4th on the board for the time being. That paint line really turns you sideways if you hit it wrong. I figured out that just not running it at all was probably the best case scenario for someone running that bottom line. We'll see if that comes into play tonight, because like we said, the rear ends of these trucks are stepping out pretty early. Track time's down to 1:10 now. We'll see if it goes down any further at this point. Also, maybe the winds, as Kyle Sieg went across the line 13th, the winds are about 10 miles an hour to the west. That could also play a factor in the handling of these trucks.
Absolutely it could, and I think that was a topic last night that we thought maybe the wind was playing a factor in the handling of the cars, but it was only a couple miles an hour. But 10 miles an hour absolutely can wreak some havoc on handling your machine. This is the truck that won here last season. David Weishart, the Matco Tools Toyota Tundra TRD Pro. There's the number 33 Indiana native as he rolls through 3 and 4 on his qualifying lap.
Another one of those drivers, you can see such a fine line he has up just above that white paint. So he'll cut that one dog leg, not straight line it to the line. He'll keep it cut down. It'll be a 32.449. That puts him about seventh position. You see how tight it is between him, JT Poole, and Colin Farnborough all on top of one another, with Mason Kane kind of out ahead of everyone by 0.03 of a second, easily on pole for the time being.
And no one quite on their qualifying lap just yet of the remaining trucks. There's about 16 or 17 that have yet to go. Joey Chapman in the number 60. Here is him rolling through 3 and 4. Travis Beckner, Brad Slaughter Jr., Bronson Stafford, Braxton DeWeese, Craig Mitchell, all drivers still yet to go. Eric Wineland is just getting up to speed now as well.
Wineland getting up to speed. Obviously, practice times won't factor into much of how well you're running in this race. Mason Kane was fastest, Danny Ware, Joshua Balliet. Braxton DeWeese was top 10 in practice as well. As we look at Chapman down the back straightaway, not that high in practice, but trying to get a better qualifying run down here. So far, I have 43 drivers on the dot signed up, 2 more than last night. So for the time being, I don't think we're sending anyone home as Chapman comes across the line now. See what he puts down, 32.455. That'll slot him about 9th position, I believe. I thought he was one of those open trucks. Either way, he's looking good to make the race, whether it is or not.
Travis Beckner went 3rd quick on his lap. That was a solid lap there. And Miller Racing, 2 of the top 3 trucks. Matheson and Beckner up there. That's a good start for them to maintain the momentum across all the series. Of course, they won the first 3 races of the Cup Series season and the most recent race in the Truck Series with Jake Matheson last week at Kentucky. Here comes Eric Wineland across the stripe. Let's see what he's got in store, and it's going to be 168.325 miles an hour, 32.426. That puts him 3rd, bumps Beckner down to P4.
Yeah, really solid lap for Wineland. He's looking for a good run. He's another driver who's ran the first 3 races of the season, not had the luck to go his way. He's 32nd in points, so another one who needs something to go his way. Austin Gack-Jones needs a little bit of luck as well. He's ran at the front a little bit, just hasn't gotten the finishes himself, as he'll come across the line to end his lap a little high off the corner, and he'll cut the dog leg rather late, but see what that Ford F-150 has in store. 32.498. That's how close this field is. That puts him back in 26th.
Braxton DeWeese on the number 13 Ford F-150 comes across the stripe, and 168.2 miles an hour, 32.454 puts him 12th. Decent lap there. And Ben Pierce is on the back straightaway in the Gradient Concepts Chevrolet Silverado. Off at a turn 3 he will go.
He's the one driver on a timed lap right now. Still have 3.5 minutes for someone else to join the session, but still 43 on the dot. You see some drivers really wash up out of 4. Not sure if that's by plan to cut the dogleg better or what, but either way, Ben Pierce, probably not the lap he wanted, puts him 25th on the board.
It's our Michael Curhan sign of the night. In the spirit of Thanksgiving, I'm thankful we only race this track virtually. I think we'd be all dead and broke in real life. Yes. Yeah. A lot of bent up virtual sheet metal and carbon last night. That's a part of it.
Not mine.
Yeah, not
it was a one
yours.
race. I didn't get crushed up.
You know, I've always thought that it'd be really interesting. Maybe this wouldn't be fun, but I think it'd be interesting if a series took an approach. I mean, we already do charters here, but if you tracked equipment loss and had virtual payouts and everything, and if you ran out of money, your season's over. Is that too real?
I've spitballed that before with Jeremy and my teammates. We always joke about it.
I think that'd be so fun. It'd be interesting to see what teams end up being the Rick Hendricks of the sport. You know, which rich keeps getting richer and which drivers are just struggling. Yeah. You know, I think that'd be a lot of fun.
Monopoly right now.
It lands somewhere between like Grand Theft Auto roleplay and iRacing.
Yeah, exactly.
Brad Slaughter, 2nd quick in the number 8. and splits the difference between Jake Matheson and Mason Kane. So that's a decent lap for him. Bronson Stafford just began his lap. Tom Bourne is entering turn 3. He'll be the first one back to the stripe of those two in that number 16 Reaper Apparel Company Toyota Tundra TRD Pro.
Yeah, not too many other drivers need to put a time down. James Scioli is one of those who hasn't put a time down yet. But unlike last week in Kentucky, it won't matter much if you don't put a time down. 32.474, Bourne back 25th position at this point. Jeremy just actually messaged me in Discord that he thinks that you want to see people profit from starting parking. I guess that's one way to do it.
Look, I think it would just be an interesting concept. The problem is I don't know that there's really a realistic understanding of how much teams make anymore because those aren't public. So
Yeah.
I don't know that you could really have a realistic base rate anyway. Bronson Stafford goes 8th quick.
It was funny, last season, like at the end of the 2022 NASCAR season, there was some Twitter account that started posting
Oh, I saw that.
the position-by-position payouts at the last 2 races, and they got cut down very quickly.
Yeah,
Because that stuff does not get out.
I guess that's recent enough that it could be used as reference. I'm sure that still exists somewhere.
I
But
definitely downloaded it.
I just
on
think
my
that'd be an
phone.
interesting concept, right? I mean, it would definitely make people drive more carefully because
Oh, yeah.
they would have to manage their money and their equipment.
I would need to maybe hire at least one new driver. I don't know.
And maybe that's what iRacing needs. Not in officials.
Maybe I don't know. Maybe in the Pro Series might need it. It's
Pro
not been
Series
great.
definitely needs it.
Bryce Senesac 22nd.
All right, qualifying is effectively complete. No qualifying from Culberson, Scioli, Michael Curhan, Greg Mitchell, or Nathan Jump. We only have 43 trucks, so everybody will make the field. And it will be Mason Kane and Brad Slaughter Jr. on the front row here as we get set for the race in just a moment's time. Race fans, be sure to subscribe to the Area iRacing Twitch channel. As a subscriber, you have Area iRacing emotes to use in the chat. You'll also earn double channel points as a subscriber that you can use to redeem for free merchandise, all at the price of just $5 a month. Make sure, if you're on YouTube, check out twitch.tv/Area iRacing. If you're on Twitch, make sure you check out youtube.com/SimTV Broadcasting. Watch the VOD after the fact. And make sure to like and subscribe if you're on YouTube. That helps us out a ton as we trudge into the winter months where my day job keeps rolling, but I'm home a lot more, so we do a lot more streaming through the winter months.
It's colder.
And it is colder. And moving to my new place this week as well, and I have a whole room dedicated just to SimTV, so that'll mean I'll be building out a set, and I'll be on camera a little bit more, which should be fun as well. The drivers are on camera. Why not me? Why not? So let's kick things off here tonight with our Roasted Gems Coffee starting lineup. Race fans, start your engines with a fresh cup of Roasted Gems Coffee. Choose from some of the finest coffee beans from Colombia and Peru, or try the blended flavors of French vanilla and hazelnut. Use discount code Area iRacing for 10% off your order at checkout at roastedgems.com. So the clouds have lifted slightly. It's a bit of a sunnier day here, but 120 laps, Connor. Last season's race took 1 hour and 11 minutes. It was almost entirely green. We had a couple yellows along the way. Anticipating tonight, has the attitude about this place changed? Will we see a lot of green flag running, do you think, or will we see some more yellows?
I think we're going to see more yellows, and I hate to say that, but I just think we have a lot. I don't know if it's a much bigger field than what we had last season, but it's still a very big field, a full field of 43 trucks. We saw him practice with the high track temp. It's at 118 right now. We'll see what happens when it changes over, but very high track temp. We saw a lot of trucks in practice getting squirrely, even some of the fast drivers. Weishart won this race last season. He was squirrely in practice a little bit. Mason Kane as well, who's on the pole. So I would be shocked if we got away with another one caution race. That race went probably 117 laps green or something like that. Ended on a green white checker. Track temp down to 112. Maybe that'll help with the track foliage shade to start this race. But I would think we are very lucky if we get away with only one caution. But we'll have to see.
Don't think it would hurt to have the track cool down just a bit. Let's get through that starting Roasted Gems Coffee starting lineup and kick things off with our front row drivers. Mason Kane in the number 31 Chevy Silverado. Brad Slaughter Jr. repping Toyota in the number 8 on that front row.
Then Jake Matheson led 97 of 120 laps last week in Kentucky. He starts third alongside Eric Weiland in fourth with a great qualifying effort.
And Justin Anasogak starts fifth in the number 88. Travis Beckner for Miller Racing starts sixth in the number 28.
John Hall, our Daytona winner, starts seventh alongside Bronson Stafford, who's had a good start to the season qualifying-wise. He starts eighth.
And in ninth place, it's Jacob Bell in the number 77. He'll start alongside Jeremy Brown in the number 89 in 10th.
Just outside the top 10 is JT Poole. I'm just going to say right now, he's my pick to win tonight. JT Poole from 11th. Colin Fambro starts alongside him in 12th.
And 13th is David Weishart, the number 33. Last season's winner, Braxton Dewey, starts 14th, the number 13 Ford F-150.
Joey Chapman, sponsored by Kentucky's favorite beer. He starts 15th position alongside the Danny Chevy Silverado of Danny Ware.
Ryan Swan starts 17th, the number 20. Joshua Balliet, 18th in the 07.
Jim Shanewolf had a top 3 at Vegas. He'll try to right the ship after not the best effort at Kentucky. He starts 19th. Dylan Lee starts 20th.
Alex Cummings, 21st in the number 63 Chevy. Bryce Senesac starts 22nd in the number 09 Toyota Tundra TRD Pro.
Powerhouse Racing Sam Fontaine, the number 71 truck, starts 23rd. Matthew Rodriguez, haven't talked about him a lot this season. He'll start 24th.
Casey Licata starts 25th in the number 50 Chevy. Jason Dalton, 26th in the 02 Chevy Silverado.
Tom Bourne was impressive last season. He's going to try to continue to impress. He starts 27th position. Adam Capps, the 05 truck, starts 28th.
Ben Pierce starts 29th in the number 65. Kyle Sieg, 30th in the number 39 Ford F-150.
31st place, Aries Ironman Garrett Grant, 31st position, and Gary Waterworth inside the playoff cut line for the first time in a while of this season. He starts 32nd tonight, though.
Austin Gack-Jones, 33rd in the number 41. Shane Terrian, 34th in the number 38 truck.
Familiar face in Bobby Tinch in his Toyota Tundra starts 35th. 36th place, Ryan Nowicki.
And 37th is Kyle Ryan in the number 91. Sean Petchin, 38th in the number 69.
The reigning truck champion, James Scioli, once again, he doesn't qualify. Can he go 43rd, nearly to first again? We'll have to see. He starts 39th. Michael Curhan, with that big sign in the background, starts 40th.
And Nathan Jump rolls off 41st in the number 9 Ford F-150. Dwayne Culberson, 42nd. Greg Mitchell brings up the rear of the field in 43rd in the number 2. We got through the whole grid before they even got onto the backstretch. That's a record. Slow gridding process here tonight. But now that we're rolling, Connor picked me a favorite in this race. It's hard to go against drivers like Brad Slaughter Jr., like David Weishart, but who you got?
I said it in the intro. I got JT Poole. He's very aggressive. He, I think, led the most laps. As a matter of fact, he led the most laps. He led 47 laps last season here. Did not get the victory. Got stolen away from him a little bit, but I'm still going to go with the 26 truck.
Well, he won in recent weeks. I like Miller Racing. I like Jake Matheson in that number 52. I think he or Travis Beckner is going to get it done. It'll be someone from Miller Racing. They're just going too strong right now to bet against. That's my pick, the number 52. Mason Kane controls this field, the number 31. It's Brad Slaughter Jr. to his outside in that red and white Toyota Tundra TRD Pro. Distance is 120 laps. Field rolls out of turn 4 to come to the green flag here at Atlanta. It looks a little different, but it's still one of the fastest tracks in North American oval racing. Green flag, and we're underway at Atlanta. Dylan Lee pulled out of the line on the back straightaway, dropped to the rear of the field. That's kind of standard drafting track practice if you want to drop to the back. Connor, you didn't do that last night. You said we're going to start up front, stay up front, and be up front all night. That worked out for you last night, but is there still a strategy to drop to the rear? Is that still valid, do you think, with how aggressive everyone is at these tracks?
I think it's going to be a little bit more valid tonight, but it's hard to bet against just staying at the front all night long. It clearly worked last night, and it's worked a lot in area in the past, so it's going to be tough to come from the back and win the race. That's what drivers like James Scioli are going to try to do for sure. He'll definitely sit at the back as long as he needs to, but with fast drivers at the front like Slaughter, Kane, Weiland, Matheson, Beckner, it's going to be hard to get by those guys with them being at the front the entire time. Being at the front, you know what works, you know what doesn't. You learn a lot more running in the front of the pack compared to when you're just laying back at the back. I think that's what helped me lead and win last night as Matheson washes up the track. You just learn so much more when you're running at the front.
Still side by side, no prevailing line here. We also saw the outside lane kind of be the stronger place. I feel like tonight the bottom will be a bit more competitive, but it'll still require maintenance to be fast down there. Last night we saw that inner groove. They kind of would have to pull the car a little bit tighter. You're carrying a bit more speed, Connor, so it felt like you had to lift, maybe not lift, but just maintain your position laterally along the racetrack. You had to get out of the, carry the momentum a little bit easier on the outside. Where was I going with that? It's just easier to carry speed up top, is what I meant.
It is. I think the difference with the Cup car is that with the side draft mechanism on the Cup cars, when the driver, if Jake Matheson was on the top side leading that top line all night long last night, he would get to your right rear if you were leading the bottom, and he'd suck you back, and he'd pull off and get such a big run. JT Poole is going to be the first one to go 3 wide top on the top of Bronson Stafford, but that's what Matheson did last night. That side draft is not going to work the same way tonight, so that's why, that's really why the top side kept getting such big runs out of turns 2 and 4. That's why I think the bottom, like you said, is going to be a bit more manageable tonight. I still would rather be on that top side for making moves to the end of a race. I just don't think the bottom line wins if you get down to the very end.
You've got mobility up top. You can go more places. On the bottom, you're a bit trapped. I do think the bottom is a safer bet, and you spent last night mostly on the bottom of the racetrack and just clicked off laps down there. I still think that's where I'd want to be early in this race, and probably for the majority of it, to be honest. Just clicking away laps in a safe place that if there's an accident, you can turn left and miss it. I don't like being in the outside, especially where JT Poole is, or even further back, just because if something happens, you're in it. There's no way to miss it.
Yeah, the sucker hole was a real big part of last night. If you got put 3 wide middle with no help, you're going backwards. It's not really going to be the case tonight. Even if you don't have any help in the middle, you might still be able to manage a little bit better than last night. Mason Kane blinks out from the lead. We're going to have to really look at that all night long. He's had those issues in the past, but I definitely would still, even tonight and even Thursday night, I would still want to run the bottom for the majority of the race, but you're going to have to probably try to lead that top side if you want a chance at winning this race. I just don't think staying on the bottom all 120 laps tonight is going to win you this race. I had to move up eventually. It worked out for me last night. It'll probably work out for whoever tries to do the same thing tonight.
Go a bit deeper in the field. Pretty orderly, just 2 by 2 all the way back for the most part. I don't think anyone is feeling any kind of pressure this early in the going. Just learning how their trucks are handling on their own, learning how they are in the draft. This isn't as wide open as Daytona or Talladega. You can run yourself into the wall, especially on corner entry. You don't draft a lot at other tracks like this. So we've seen drivers just pancake the D-shaped wall going into turn 1 just because it comes back at you so quick in a way that doesn't happen at places like Daytona or Talladega with their smooth curved front straightaways. So it's a unique challenge in that way. Things come at you a lot quicker, and it's pretty narrow.
And the challenges are still characteristic to what you have in a mile and a half, the handleability. It's not a normal drafting track like Daytona or Talladega where handling is not going to matter. You're going to get very sideways late into this run. Even last night, same thing. The car or truck is not going to handle perfect the entire fuel run. So you're going to have to manage the way you run this truck. Whether you're on the top or bottom, you got to know what your truck's doing, if it's getting loose or tight. You got to know when to lift. Stafford just threw a big block on JT Poole on the top side, but these drivers are going to get out of shape pretty soon, probably next 5 to 10 laps. That track temp's already up to 117, so the rear ends of these trucks are going to be in danger soon enough.
Yeah, we're down about 2 mile an hour average from our quickest to our previous. That's about half second as far as lap time is concerned. That's a lot of fall off for a drafting track. You don't really see any fall off of any kind at Daytona or Talladega. Maybe you even get quicker with the fuel burn over the course of the run. This is going to get a little dicey. Mason Kane a bit slow on the back straightaway. Jake Matheson doesn't seem like he wants to sit back here. He's pushing Kane pretty aggressively as Brad Slaughter Jr. is almost clear on that upper groove. Watch JT, though. He's been very aggressive looking for that third lane. He just hasn't been able to commit to it yet.
Well, Bronson Stafford's not letting him go. That might become bad at some point if they make more contact, but yeah, still one of those tracks where you're going to see fall off. You'd probably take only 2 tires at most at the other drafting tracks. Here you're taking 4 tires every time, in my opinion, if you get a green flag pit stop, not just because of the fuel. As Poole finally gets to the right rear of Stafford, you do not want to be on old tires here, because if you get any dirty air on your nose, you're going backwards. It made contact that time.
That was really dicey stuff, and JT is now 3 wide on the outside of Bronson Stafford. Is that John Hall to the inside? No, it's the 77 and then the 89 who's looking at Jeremy Brown. But JT,
John Hall's ahead of him.
Yeah, JT wasn't really able to go anywhere with that. He needs some assistance. Trying it again.
Had some from Weishart, but didn't go anywhere.
I'll bet you this is infuriating for Bronson Stafford. Just like, what are you doing? Where are you going? Where do you think you're going to go? But JT's just trying to do something, because otherwise you're going to sit in line for 100 laps.
Yeah, that's the issue compared to last night. If you got put in the middle, you were going backwards because of the side draft. That's just not a thing with the truck or Xfinity cars. So it's going to be much harder to get to the front as Weishart really lifted off of JT Poole. I don't think he wants anything to do with that battle at this point. Much more difficult to make it through the field. That's why I'm surprised Sky Early once again didn't qualify. I think track position was important last night, and it was much easier to pass. And tonight, it's going to be a lot more difficult, as it looked like Slaughter got really loose leading that top line in turn 4.
Just notice Jake Matheson has a yoke, not it's not a wheel. It's a kind of a D-shaped or sports car steering wheel, which is interesting to me. I generally prefer having a round or D-shaped wheel for oval racing, just for the ability to catch the car. But I suppose if you need to lift your hands off the wheel and go hand over hand, you're sliding around a bit too much, maybe.
Sure hope he's not sliding enough to need that. In the second, top side, it almost looks like the top side is the one that might struggle tonight. Slaughter got that big moment last time in turn 4, and him and Weiland got disconnected. Now they're battling for third now with Slaughter at the front of that line. They've lost ground to Kane, Matheson, and John Hall. I think those are 3 teammates in the line trying to lead this pack.
There's Eric Wineland, started 4th, kind of quietly running up there. Hasn't been just very, very consistent running nose to tail. Look at the 0-3 of John Hall falling in line behind Matheson. Brad Slaughter's fallen off a little bit, so we're singling out up in the front. This is going to create a bit of a catalyst for everything 4th on back, I'd imagine.
And that fall off was getting bigger and bigger. The fall off is now half a second in 16 full laps, so it's only going to get more and more from there. And it's hard to not look at JT Poole. He is working over Bronson Stafford, as you can see on the bottom of your screen. He's looking every now and then to the top side. Stafford is not letting it happen, and they've almost made contact again. And then Poole gets to his right rear without a little bit of squirreliness in the middle lane. He's not going to go really anywhere with this, but Weishart is going to try to help him here.
Yeah, this is interesting. If Weishart pushes the 26, I think they're going to get a spot, but they're going to have to work really hard. This is not the lane I would choose to move forward in right now with the dangers that it comes with, but 3 wide for about 10th place. Bryce Senesac on the bottom, Bronson Stafford in the middle, JT Poole on the top.
And here comes Travis Beckner to move with him. He saw Poole move up. He's going to give him some help.
Check up on the bottom.
Oh, Beckner's in a wall, though. They're going to stack up.
Oh, Weishart into Danny Ware. Everybody scatters. Ware back across the racetrack and into the field. Caution flies, and Ware gets the worst of it.
I don't know. Was that only like 2 trucks? My gosh,
Yeah,
that was supposed to be a much bigger crash, but it wasn't. And Weishart's not happy over the radio about it either.
Could have been a lot worse than it was.
I think he had issues with Beckner or Poole. Could have been one of them, but Danny Ware is a bystander in this.
Yeah, and he did a really good job. Bounced off of, I didn't see what truck that was, but he also got tipped back the other direction by another truck there. Who was it that he bounced off of on the bottom here?
That was Alex
63,
Cummings.
Yep, Alex Cummings, and he tags Joey Chapman in the 60, then gets into the outside wall. But where this all starts, as you alluded to, was the 28 of Travis Beckner, who just got up into the outside wall. JT had nowhere to go.
Weishart had a hard hit too.
Yeah.
But it looked like Beckner went up there, and he's been lifting in the middle lane, right? So I think he had such a run, he thought it would stick full throttle, and it doesn't. Hits the wall and just it grabs you. It's like glue, that outside wall, whether it's white or green, doesn't matter. That outside wall can glue you to it if you hit it just the right way, and that's what happened. And Beckner's going to get away with it. Weishart, Cummings, and Danny Ware don't. There's a crash on something that happened at the end of pit road. There's a car spun on the back at the very beginning of pit road. Someone.
You find out who that was for me?
Bobby Tinch was the first truck I saw sideways. I'm not sure what happened down there.
Back and see on the Simrat market. Ooh, this is hold on, back a little further. Multifaceted. Gets turned into Curhan, misses box. And that's what stacks up pit lane here. Oh, and then the 66 just got drilled by the 25. Dylan Lee.
Well, that didn't physics at all, but
no, and it continued to not be physics.
Only if you could pit your truck backwards, it'd be fine. But unfortunately, that loses Tinch a lot of time. But yeah, definitely looked like Curhan. I don't think Curhan remembered that he was probably the second to last pit stall. He might even be the last pit stall, because there might be 40 pit stalls here instead of 43. So that might have confused him as well. But it looks like Bobby Tinch got the worst of that one.
Yeah. So everyone's on the lead lap. Matthew Rodriguez didn't. He took the green, but
like he had an internet issue.
Yeah, he pulled off, got booted out about 11 laps ago. So 42 trucks remain on the road, all of them on the lead lap. Danny Ware got the worst of, Danny Ware and David Weishart are going to go a lap down here, I think. No, they're rolling. They should stay on the lead lap. And then 2 trucks stayed out, Sean Petchin and Jacob Bell.
Yeah, I don't think Jacob Bell thought he was going to be alone. as we get the quick 1 to green here. But very old tires. We were talking about the tire fall off. It was already about 0.6 of a second. So this is going to be interesting because if they lose their clean air, they're going to go backwards. And with all due respect, they could potentially be a hazard just because the tires have worn that much already. As by the way, Travis Beckner does get the EOL penalty for that.
Yeah, that's unfortunate, but that get up into the wall kind of stacked up everybody behind him. And what's interesting here, Connor, is that the fuel window 55 to 60 laps. So what does that mean? You can make it with a little bit of saving. And I think that might be what Bell and Petchen are trying to do. I just think that there's been enough tire wear demonstrated. I don't think that's going to do you a lot of good.
I mean, it's Bell and I think Jacob Bell just said over there he wanted to lap lead. I don't think he realized he was going to get a quick 2 to the green. So bed's made now. For him and Petchen, they can't make it on one more stop. Everyone else can. I think one stopping is, for everyone who just pit, is still going to be the way to go. But those tires are going to have to go a long way. I think everyone's still breathing a sigh of relief that no one's going to have to try to save a bunch of fuel to make a one-stop work, because that's what we saw happening last season. Yeah,
we saw that right from the very beginning. At any time that we, even pre-area, this track has always kind of lent itself to fuel saving in this configuration with, lap numbers on the 20s. But coming to the restart, first yell of the night out of the way. Crash with the 33 and the 49. Green flag back in the air. Jacob Bell on old tires leads the field to the green. Sean Petchen on the outside, also on 22-lap old Goodyears. Mason Kane blinking out again as we get up into top gear, fourth gear. There's the 52 of Matheson not waiting around. He wants by.
Yeah, he is not. I'm not really surprised. He's not going to stay behind old tires for very long. He knew John Hall was going to go with him as that top line's getting sacked up very quickly. And Sogak's trying to choose which lane to go. He'll go top. Petchen's in that sucker hole we've already talked about. Bell is going to get blown by Mason Kane for the race lead.
Yeah, this is going to get messy here because there's a slow truck on the bottom and a slow truck in the middle. The only lane that's going to be moving is the outside as you see it off into turn 1 here. It's going to stack up both the inside and middle grooves for a couple of laps until they get this sorted out. Kane takes the lead. Matheson wants it, though. Kane comes over to cover. Cars bouncing off each other in the middle. Petchen is one of them.
Yeah, Petchen doesn't know where to go right now. I think he tried to get behind Stafford and bounce off of him. And then the 89 of Jeremy Brown. He's got to be very careful where he is on track right now. He's gotten into a pretty safe line at this point.
Yeah, I think we've got that mostly sorted. Just with 3 wide and 2 lanes effectively blocked, that wasn't going to turn out very well. A couple Miller Racing trucks on the outside, Matheson and John Hall. Mason Kane and Brad Slaughter Jr. on the bottom of the racetrack in a Chevrolet and a Ford, Chevy and Toyota respectively. 3 Chevys on the outside. Now we're back to 2x2, which is kind of the entropic state here when everything falls back together.
Yeah, 3x3 I don't think worked at all last night. It likely will not work very well tonight. So this is pretty much the standard Atlanta racing that you'll see on iRacing, 2x2, pretty tight packs, tight lines as well, until you get to that tire wear phase where one of these lines might fall back. Last run was about a 16-lap run. It was that top line that started to fall back. We'll see if that changes this time with some different players in each line, because that top line's got a big surge out of turn 4 this time.
Travis Beckner with that EOL making quick work of the back quarter of the field, back up to 32nd place. But now what? Now where is the next question.
Not many places to go unless you want to force a 3 wide. It already didn't work earlier when Beckner tried it, so I think he's going to have to be much more careful on where he places the nose of his truck. A lot more positions to gain this time if he tries it. There is 3 wide in the background.
JT Poole on the outside again. Braxton DeWeese in the 13 is middle. Look out on the bottom. That's a 71 of Sam Fontaine. They almost came together there. That was tight.
I think DeWeese wanted bottom. I think he's just going to get in behind. JT Poole still hunting for everyone's right rears. He's looking for Kyle Ryan. Now he's going to split the middle. Very aggressive there, but nowhere to go.
It looks a lot like Matheson did last night, where he just wasn't comfortable being behind anybody. And he's making all sorts of moves to go forward. Again, he's going to get squeezed up here. There's not a lot of room. But if he can make it work, he's the only one that's been this aggressive to move forward.
Kyle Ryan's looking middle on Gak Joe. They made contact. Him and Fontaine did. They somehow didn't crash, but I don't think any driver knows what lane they're in. Hit the apron. JT Poole doesn't care. He's still trying to get to the right rear of the 41. Just no run to do it.
And again, that lane closes so often and so quickly. Got up there again.
Besides Hetchin, who kind of fell back quickly, you can see the difference between tires and no tires with Jacob Bell at the front. He's on the bottom lane, fourth in line, but you can see he cannot get up to Eric Wineland up there. There's a little squirreliness in front of JT Poole even. You can see he's just looking for where Clean Air is.
Slicing and dicing. It's fun to watch, but it does make you hold your breath.
Makes you one eye. You watch it with one eye open. Really, it's. I mean, that's how I raced last night.
Oh, Ben Pierce in the wall. 65's in the fence. The 33 went middle, and then Ben just kind of ran himself out of road, entering 3. He's going to drop to the back of the field there.
Wall kind of juts out there, so I think he got caught by surprise by that. The 0-1 just had sideways, just nothing really scary there. Just a little loose already early on in this run.
Mason Kane leads the way. Matheson drops to the bottom. And now back up to the high side in front of Brad Slaughter Jr. Eric Wineland on the bottom lane. And without a lot of pushing and shoving there, they're not going to have a ton of momentum.
That's all because of Jacob Bell's old tires, not able to get up there. But here comes John Hall. I think that was John Hall just going to get down to the bottom and help some of his teammates out. And that might help Jacob Bell a little bit here as those lanes stay even because of that move.
About a quarter of the way through the race this time through, 30 of 120. Only one yellow so far. And it's just been a dead heat between top and bottom here. JT still up top.
Yeah. Dead heat between one lane and 2 lane, and then you got JT Poole.
Yep.
Just leading any lane he can find that has no people in it.
It's generally been the top.
He needs to find partners. He had Weishart trying to help him, even though Weishart didn't seem happy with the moves that was happening. Oh. He's going to hit a wall by Joey Chapman there. He just needs someone else to help him. He cannot get to the very front alone. He needs someone to push him up there.
Joey Chapman gave him 3/4 of a truck width. You said you want to go up there, by all means, but you might have to knock my quarter panel over a couple inches to get there, and he will get there.
This is the only easy part when JT Poole's up there. It widens out, but then it narrows up just like that, entering the corner. So you run out of room, and Chapman's got to go somewhere. It's a recipe for disaster even this early on.
He's making a lot of progress, though, and by himself, notably. He doesn't have anybody helping him right now. So he's learning a ton, and this is going to be useful later in this race, but he has to get to the tail end of the race, and you're at the mercy of everyone inside of you. Shane Wolf, big slide in the 0-1. That's that green truck.
He had a big slide. Even Matheson had a slide in the race lead in Clean Air. So already about maybe 13 laps in is where we're seeing the handling go away on most of these trucks. That track temp's still consistently high, so it's only going to get worse the longer of a run we go on here.
Whew, it's fun watching that 26 truck. Still for the lead, though. Now Matheson is going to get edged ahead.
You can see the rear end of Matheson's truck slide now all over the place. I think the Clean Air, I feel like it was more of a help last night, but it seems more of a deterrent right now, at least for the drivers on the top lane. It just seems very, very sketchy, especially on the entry to turn 3.
2x2 by 3x2 down the back stretch.
Ooh, big push. Now Mason Kane's trying to work both lanes at this point.
I don't know how well that's going to work. Truck very close to the wall. In the wall, maybe. The 16 of Bourne.
Yep.
He's in it.
Oh, he hit it again.
You get stuck to it like a magnet. It's really hard to come unstuck. But he did a decent job. He's just going to lose all this momentum and then some.
Yeah, he got passed by Beckner and Weishart, who ironically are bumper to bumper at this point. I guess laying back, don't want to make those through wide moves, but JT Poole has no issue doing that. He's back into the top 10 through all this, and he has no help really, like you were talking about. Very, very impressive. They almost doored for second, Weiland and Matheson, as it seems like that second lane, oh, Bell's loose, but that middle lane's starting to lose steam again.
I mean, the general rule of passing trucks is go where there aren't any other trucks and go faster than those other trucks. And he's doing all those things right now. He's going to settle into 8th, give the 61 a shove. We'll see if he drops to the bottom. He seems to like the maneuverability up top, but now he drops to the inside lane.
I think he's tired of Bronson Stafford seeing his rear bumper. But I also think he wants to make sure he's ahead of Jacob Bell. I really need to look at that 77. He is still on old tires, the tires he started this race with, and he is starting to struggle a little bit more than he already was.
Yeah, it's going to be hard to maintain. Just the truck's going to handle so much worse everywhere on those old tires. And he's only about 20 laps away from being able to make it to the end. If he can get to lap 60, he can pit and be done, but it's going to still require maybe a little bit of saving on the second half of the race, upper end of the fuel window for both those runs.
Yeah, it's going to be tough to make it regardless. You're likely going to have no one to pit with besides Sean Peachin. That's how you pronounce that. We were mispronouncing it. Apologies to Sean, but he's not going to have anyone to pit with is the issue. So even if he does pit, he's going to be in a bad spot. Going to drive around the apron. I think that was the 01, or maybe the 07 Valiette trying to go below the apron, make a pass maybe.
Dead even. 2 by 2 by 2 by 2 all the way back. It's like they're pacing at 175 miles an hour.
Now after getting to the top 10, it seems like JT Poole was very content with just getting into that spot on the bottom and just riding at this point. And now that's Bryce Senesac trying to make something happen on the top side, but he had no run to do anything with it.
Braxton Deweese trying it as well, the number 13 at the back of that shot. David Weishart's also on the outside of 3. Requires a lot of trust on the guys on the middle, on the inside too, just to know that you're about to do that and leave you space on entry and exit. There's the 28 of Beckner, by the way. His progress was quick right after the restart, but only up to 24th now.
Ooh, Gary Waterworth split the middle. I don't think Beckner and Weishart were ready for it, but now puts Weishart back on the top, just trying to make something happen. But we're at this point where the tires might have to lift so much on the entry to 3 to avoid that outside wall. It might not work well anymore, and that could have been something JT Poole was noticing too with that top side. It got too tight up there, and he might have no choice but to just sit in line because he might not be able to go any higher in the field.
Third of the race out of the way. Look at the 05 on the bottom, very slow, bouncing off the apron. Third of this race dispatched. 2/3 left to go, lap 41 of 120. Mason Kane, Jake Matheson, Brad Slaughter Jr., they've been the top 3 for the majority of this race. In varying orders, watch the Weishart truck, a little loose out of 4.
Tom Bourne, who was in the wall, is going to come back and help him. It's just so hard to make it through this field. It takes literally 110% confidence. You have to not have any second thoughts about going to that third lane. You just have to run it and make it happen, but it's so hard to do so without getting into that wall of glue once again. We already saw the 16 do it, saw the 28 do it. Very easy to do. It can cause a crash in a big hurry. Oh, someone else is in the wall.
Oh, whoa, big slide by the 8 out of 4.
Kept it straight. That was Deweese in the wall, but he didn't get glued to it. He's fine. But Slaughter has been one I've seen struggle the most on the old tires. Even when he was leading that line, he was struggling bad.
Deweese still on the outside of 3 here. Look at all the momentum you lose just by a temporary scrape. Drops you a half a dozen positions or more.
Like we were talking about, definitely looks like once again the bottom line's a safe line. All the craziness is on that top side, second and third lanes, but everyone on the bottom pretty smooth. Pretty much why Mason Kane's consistently been leading this race, and Matheson not able to really challenge very greatly for that lead, mainly because Slaughter's so out of whack he can't get the push down the straightaways.
Eric Wineland just riding in second. This is a truck that maybe we should be watching a bit more closely. Just in position. This is kind of the spot that you were in last night, just kind of riding on that inner line, clicking away laps. Knows the strategy here. See Slaughter sliding around a lot, but he knows the strategy to win this, and it's just a matter of executing it and not having anyone else mess it up for you.
He had the luxury of watching me last night and being the pit race reporter, so I think he was definitely doing snooping around, just seeing what worked and what didn't, and I'm sure he saw it wasn't just me. I think it was Edward Shear. He did the same thing, rode around all night long in that bottom line, and once it came down to it, we got to that point in the run where the pack got spread out. We knew it was time to get to the top. And I'm sure Weiland's knowing that there's going to be a time when you got to get up there to defend at some point, just biding his time at this point, still about 3/8 into this race.
Somehow Jake Matheson has only led 9 laps. Mason Kane's led 31. Brad Slaughter's led only 1 lap so far.
Bonus point.
That counts.
Got another guy going to the top. I think that's Beckner in the background. If you could see the close appliance truck go by you, definitely Travis Beckner still trying to make something happen, but like we were talking about, just looks a lot harder to do at this stage in the run.
Yeah, but he has made up ground. Remember, last time we checked in, he was 24th. He's made up 4 spots since then, most of them on this upper groove. So there's still time to be had up there. It just requires more care and attention now, and you're at the mercy of trucks beneath you also having handling issues. So I think the chance that that goes worse is much higher this late in the run.
Yeah, just that's the real risk is drivers under Beckner.
Spin, turn 2.
Oh, crash.
81, Dwayne Culberson. And I think he saved it. He did.
Wow. I think he had contact with Dylan Lee, you'll see here. Oh yeah, just checked up.
Yeah, Dylan just caught the rear of him there. Nice save.
Wow, that
by
was
Culberson.
That was incredible. Not hit the inside wall either. That was the most incredible part of that. Truck in the middle in the background.
Thought Brad Slaughter was going to try to go 3 on the outside, but he didn't. Beckner made up a bunch of spots there. He's up to 16th now.
Yeah, the only big loser out of that was Culberson, but he's probably the only driver out of the draft now besides Matthew Rodriguez, who did not re-enter the race. But like you said, Beckner making moves, almost hitting the wall out of the corners, but still getting through the field pretty efficiently, even though there's not a lot of room to do that.
Yeah, now I don't want him to get too greedy, though. He's made up a bunch of spots. Why not fall in line like JT did? He's still going for more on that upper side. 15th place, side by side with the 60 of Joey Chapman, and that's the 07 of Balliet on the bottom.
Gets in front of a 02 of Jason Dalton. I think he wants to get closer to the front where JT Poole got to. Going to be a little harder to do, though, so he just got in line. He's waiting to get a bigger run, I think, on the 60 to make that move again. Nowhere to go with it quite yet. You could see the ground he was losing down the straightaway because of the lack of draft. So he really needs to wait to get a big run when that top line eventually stacks up.
Gary Waterworth kind of floating between the lanes there, didn't fully commit. See some 3 wide. Tom Bourne in the middle, just behind him.
So it almost looked like Chapman might have protected the top from Beckner there, or just tried to go to the top because of the checkup, but so many drivers getting close to that turn 4 wall. We're about 30 laps into this run, just about. The tires are at the worst they've been all night. We're not thinking about pit stops yet. We're still probably 20 laps away from that from the guys, everyone who hit besides Bell and Peachin, but got to start thinking about it for sure. Dylan Lee's in the wall in the background.
Scrape the wall, it'll stay straight. I'm just impressed, again, as we noted last night, that outside lane really was the place to be. The inside lane almost couldn't keep pace with the bottom, even with help. Tonight, they have been dead even. I still think the outside's better for momentum. They seem to get to the line first most of the time.
JT Poole.
Oh, look out, the 61. And there they go.
Big crash.
Oh my gosh, a huge crash in the middle of 1 and 2. Up and over into the catch fencing. And that's about a half a dozen trucks at least. 63 of Cummings was, I think, one of the trucks that went airborne there. Shane Wolf's in it.
Jeremy Brown was the truck who went flying into the fence. I think Beckner got a big piece of that as well. That came out of, it all started, I don't know what happened to Stafford, but it started there. I think him and JT Poole, yeah.
Oh man, the 89 grinding like a skateboard on that wall.
Tom Bourne got a little bit of it. Watch this hit. Oh my gosh.
Man. Up on the top of Travis Beckner.
Beckner passed under him. Shane Wolf got a big hit in that as well. Cummings got clipped by DeWeese. Clipped Bourne. Look at James Scioli skirting through there. We haven't talked about him all night, but I think he got through that possibly. Yeah. Dylan Lee was just in the wall as well. And Curhan slid in there, but minimal damage. Already called a racing deal.
Right on board. Oh,
that just turned.
So violent.
Engine immediately expired. Nowhere you could go at that point when it happens in the middle of the pack like that. See who hit him.
It was Shane Wolf that got him.
Shane Wolf just came down a little bit in reaction.
Yeah, I think it was reacting to the checkup between the 61 right there and the 09, and then Shane Wolf turns left and just absolutely the worst angle you can possibly hit. Oh, see the 16 in the background get turned hard in the wall.
And that's the drawback, like we were talking about, the Beckner trying to make that top work. There's a wreck. You have nowhere to go from that third lane as pit stops occur once again. Just nothing you can do at that point as everyone comes off a pit road. Definitely the break Jacob Bell and Sean Peachin needed. Bell, I believe, unscathed in that. And I think the 69 of Peachin as well. So it ends up working out and saving a set for them. Don't think they'll use that set as Matheson's off pit road first, but they survived, I suppose you could say. Yeah,
I wouldn't expect tire sets to really be much of a problem tonight. We did a pretty decent sized green flag run there as well. So I imagine that maybe there is an ulterior motive there, but the leader will be Matheson, for this restart in the number 52. The rest of the field rolls off of pit lane. Big mess, that last crash. Yeah, there's about 8 or 9 trucks that are on pit lane. David Weishart's one of them. Travis Beckner was involved in it, but I thought he might have gotten away with most of the bad damage, but he's been on pit lane now for about 1 minute and 10 seconds.
If you look at the angle of the left front, that's where he took the brunt of that hit. As Daniel Ware still repairing damage from the last crash. You can see that left front really totaled. I think the whole fender is gone, actually, but he is able to go. He won't lose laps, but until he gets that fully repaired, going to be hard to compete, and I'm sure he'll probably just be riding for the time being, hoping for another yellow to repair as we get the one to green. Ryan Nowicki gets to wave around. I think he got caught behind the pace car, but yeah, that took a lot of drivers out. I'm not sure. Most of them might still be running. I think Tom Bourne and Jeremy Brown are the only drivers not still running. Trying to look. Even a 0-1 of Shane Wolf is still running, and he has no front bumper.
Yeah, Jeremy Brown's that'll be over. That engine is damaged beyond repair, but everyone else still running. That Shane Wolf truck is
not looking good.
I don't think it'll make it to the end of the race. Sure, it's leaking oil or something.
Virtual oil, yeah. Something like that.
I've had that happen. That's a thing. It just doesn't relay it to the racetrack. I've always thought it'd be really neat if iRacing actually simulated that, oiling down a track. And it gave you like 1x every 10 seconds that you were still rolling while leaking oil.
Well, did the iRacing officials tell you to stop? Like, you remember that one guy at Watkins Glen?
Oh, yeah.
Race, and they told him to stop after he went like 50 feet.
Well, that happened in real life too. Can't remember what driver it was. Maybe Bobby Labonte back in 2012 at Watkins Glen. Oiled down the whole place.
Yeah. Well, they didn't throw a yellow for that.
No,
they just
didn't.
wanted a better finish. Now it's an iconic finish.
I mean, obviously the drivers knew about it for lap after lap after lap.
I don't think Kyle was too happy.
He was not. he was owed that one.
Yeah, I would say.
Coming to the restart, lap 56 of 120. Jake Matheson in command.
Looking at the pit stops, it almost looked like Justin Asilgak took left sides only from my view, so I don't quite understand the thought process behind it, but it did put him second on the board.
Joshua Balliet also only a 2-tire stop. That's an intriguing decision, but one that they have made.
Yeah, I would feel it would be a graphical glitch. They had to have taken right sides, but either way, it is a little bit interesting to be taking 2 tires this early. Some experimenting before halfway, possibly. Also, probably just wanting track position as well.
I always giggle a little bit at the concept of track position. Well, of course you want to be ahead.
Well,
duh. Yes,
the difference between getting it and keeping it.
Well, that's the thing is track position is where you are now, and position is where you are at the end of the race, and those are often 2 different things.
2 completely different things, I would say. But they'll try to make it work. He's already not leading the top line anymore. That's Eric Wineland, and JT Poole still going to that 3rd lane. Even after the crash that might have been caused, maybe not. He's trying to get to the right rear of Brad Slaughter Jr. as Wineland tries to lead that top line back to the lead with Matheson back in front.
Well, Mason Kane has been a really solid truck tonight as well. I mean, really, the top 3, well, Matheson, Kane, Hall, and you can throw Brad Slaughter Jr. in there, Eric Wineland. They have been persistently up front. And it probably wouldn't be wild to say that you could expect your winner to come from that group.
No, I wouldn't be surprised as well. He's really down. I would say Matheson, Kane, Wineland, and maybe Mason Kane, just because of how aggressive he is, are the guys to look at right now. The guys that have been at the front all night long and the guys who have been the most aggressive, I'd say, are the drivers to look at right now.
2x2 all the way back, starting lap 60. Next time by marks the halfway point of this race. And things get interesting next week as the Truck Series heads to the Milwaukee Mile.
2 weeks from now.
2 weeks from now, thank you. And then after that, the Charlotte Roval, 35 laps on the Roval. That'll be an interesting one.
JT again, trying that 3rd lane. Got to the right side of Slaughter that time. I'd be shocked if Bronson Stafford went with him, judging on how they've raced each other, as he won't. He might have to battle the 61 again.
I get the feeling these 2 won't be sending each other a Christmas card tonight.
No, they won't. They won't be at each other's Thanksgiving dinners, I don't think.
And it's not because they've run into each other. It's just they're driving in such a way that's clear to me that they don't like what the other driver is doing.
No.
You can just see the body language of it.
Yeah, Stafford's been protecting that top line from lap 1, not giving JT Poole anything. They made contact on that last incident to start the yellow happening, so they're definitely not seeing eye to eye right now. Stafford's cool with riding, and I'm sure he's just questioning JT why he's being so aggressive, but I understand, JT, you need to get to the front. You're not going to do it just riding behind his 61. He's got to go, and I don't think JT sees Stafford's vision. Stafford clearly doesn't see Poole's vision. It's not working for JT Poole right now. Going a little backwards this run.
Agree to disagree, right? I mean, I definitely understand the pressure to get up front. It's hard to make passes, especially on your own. There's mobility, but you have to work for it. There's not quite as much, like in the Cup Series race, because of the extra speed that you're carrying, it seemed like there was a bit more volatility in the positions. People were going up and down a lot more. Tonight, not as much of that. You have to really work at it, so you can't just ride around and then drive through the field with 10 to go. You have to be there at 10 to go and slowly work your way forward. That's the challenge that everyone's fighting this evening.
I always talk about, when we talk about laying back, you kind of do it, usually you would do it, and you go around 20 laps to go. You cannot do that here. We're almost to the point where you might need to be at the front by about lap 80 or 90, somewhere around there. You need to get to the front at that point or else you're not going to go anywhere, but as Shane Wolf comes off pit road after repair and damage, you can see that it's going to be hard to do so for JT Poole and anyone else trying to get to the front. He's going backwards right now. It's not working the same as it has on the other runs.
I wonder if that is track rubbering in. I wonder if that is tired. Ooh, that's tight. Man, I would not be trusting my truck to get that tight to the fence.
Definitely not. He's gotten close to it a number of times. That might have been the closest escapade with it so far, but he's still going to try it. Just needs help, but no one through the first half of this race has been willing to help him besides David Weishart. I don't think he was really trying to help him that much either, but you can see he's gone a few rows backwards into the battle of Sean Peachin and I think Austin Gack-Jones on the bottom now.
Yeah, Peachin's in that number 69, the gray and orange truck. Middle three wide. Look at Gary Waterworth in the middle. The 25, Dylan Lee on the high side doing what JT is doing. But learning from a professor that hasn't quite gotten the degree yet. He's well on the way to his PhD, but they haven't given it to him.
Not quite yet. It's maybe 50 laps you'll learn it. But he might get to the point where he might have to regroup and get to the middle line just to get a run at someone else, but he has nowhere to go in that line either. He's just kind of stuck at this point as these two lines go wheel to wheel.
Still a dead heat up front. Kane and Matheson have just been trading blows, and it's led to 18 lead changes. Only 4 unique leaders, which is an interesting stat. I thought we would have had more by now. Oh, Kane. Waterworth bounced off of the 25 out of 2.
Meanwhile, even through all this, you still have drivers laying back. Even how much we've talked about, you need track position pretty early on. You still have guys at the laying back, like Weishart after his crash 27th. James Scioli, I haven't seen him above 25th all night long after starting at the front as they roll by Braxton DeWeese. So still a number of drivers laying back.
The highest running position that Scioli has been, 21st.
Oh, crash.
Oh, everybody scattered. Did they crash? They did not.
No, they didn't.
Where'd that start? Can you find that?
Waterworth, I think. I think JT Poole and Waterworth got together. I think Poole hit the wall pretty good.
Here's a look. Oh, right there. Waterworth washed up into Poole. And that's what sent the drivers searching, hunting for the apron there. Now watch the 12 right here.
Yeah, he did get a little sideways. Not much Poole could really do at that point, but it's definitely scrambled things up a little bit. Don't think anyone lost a draft, but still pretty crazy as Ryan Swan blinks out in front of Poole, and JT Poole's lost all of his progress now from trying that third lane.
And still just stone cold focused right now. Didn't really even react very much. He's just mission at hand. No more, no less. But running out of laps. Next time by is 50 laps to go. And that will happen in the next 26 minutes if we go green from here to the end.
Hey, spoiler alert. I don't think it's going to the end. just a hunch. But we'll see. If we get more drivers going to that third lane, I can guarantee you it won't go green. Peachin is actually the one leading that third lane now, or at least trying to up there with help from Dylan Lee.
3 by 3, 2 rows deep midfield there.
Shane Theory just made a dart to the bottom lane.
JT's given the 25 a shot. Oh, he looked forward. Oh, the 25's on the wall.
No.
Waterworth is in it. Spin, crash, caution.
81.
Well,
Culberson got a big
we
piece
said
of that.
We said it wouldn't go green to the end. We were
Didn't
right.
go a lap.
Well,
and somehow, once again, I think that might have only been 2 to 3 trucks.
yeah, really just the 12 and the 81 were the primary drivers involved in that. And this started when the 25 just flat out pancaked the wall. Just
Yeah, that was we've seen it
distracted.
before.
Maybe distracted by Poole in the review, and
Yeah.
yeah, just kind of drove into the fence and then bounced off it and came across 2 lanes and pow! Took the 91 by surprise there too.
Yeah, nothing Waterworth could do. 91, that's, I think, Kyle Ryan. Nothing he could do. Nathan Jump got a piece there. And look at Scioli. Even talk about him. That's the second one he's barely missed. Just getting on the brakes and finally seeing room to the top to get around it. I see majority of drivers take their 3rd set of tires here.
Checking out pit stops
replay.
here shortly. Here's Culberson's on board. Not really much he can do here.
Just drive through. Watch the bumper. Oh, there he goes.
Did that bumper actually come off? Or was that a netcode contact?
That was a netcode thing. That would have been...
The 9, right? Nathan
Yes.
Jump?
He does not have one, so that's correct.
It did come off.
The Zekas driver's not having a good night as everyone comes down to pit road. It's a weird pit entry because you almost never catch the pace car in time if you're at the back, so you're always rushing to the pace car. That's probably what caused Curhan to miss his stall earlier as well, as majority of everyone taking their 3rd set of tires. Matheson's out incredibly early. He might have only taken 2 tires. Everyone else, Senesac, Balliet, Slaughter out before Mason Kane.
So 2-tire stop for Matheson. 2 tires or no tires. It's one of those 2 for Matheson, Senesac, Balliet, and Slaughter Jr. Everybody else took 4, save for Greg Mitchell and a handful of others down beyond 20th.
And JT Poole, I think he realized his best bet to get track position was to just stay out. And that's what he's done. Even after pancaking the outside wall, he takes no tires.
I don't know if I hate this decision. Assuming that, well, is it crabbing or is that just the way that the trucks...
No, I just think it honestly doesn't. It does. It's hard to say. I think all of them kind of look like that. His might just be a little bit more.
Oh, you're right. You're right. They're just kind of sliding down the banking because they're not going fast enough. So I don't hate this decision because as we've always seen, the intensity ramps up here in the tail end of this race. He's making a bet that there's going to be a bunch of yellows from here on out. I don't dislike that bet. I think I'd be a bit more comfortable doing this with 30 or so laps to go, maybe 20 laps from now. I think there's still a potential for a lot of laps to click away under green. That's not going to be good for JT, but if we get a couple of quick yellows, I like this call.
He's going to take the top side. I don't think Matheson knew. I don't think Matheson knew, but yeah, if JT Poole could take the 3rd line, he would, but I don't think he will. It's just going to be so important for him to keep this track position. He gets put in any dirty air, he's going to be struggling big time. He's going to have about 15 laps on the tires, plus the damage is not going to help either, although it seemed like it was running okay enough to stay out, obviously, so it's going to get a little interesting. So you got Poole on no tires, Matheson, Balliet, and Slaughter, and Senesac, I think, are the ones on 2 tires. Mason Kane was about 2nd. He should be the first one on 4 tires. So a lot of drivers going for track position with just under 50 to go.
So we're going to be restarting with, we got about 45 laps left in this race.
46 when we go again. Not many people out of the race either. Rodriguez because of internet, but then Jeremy Brown went into a fence. And Shane Wolf on pit road getting repairs as well. Tom Bournes actually got back into a race 16 laps down.
Well, Pace Truck's going to roll through 3 and 4. It will dispatch itself back onto pit lane. Be lap number 75 of 120. JT Poole is your race leader as he gets to the restart zone in that blue painted segment on the apron. He can choose to accelerate whenever he would like. He goes fairly early in the box. Green flag back in the air here at Atlanta.
For me, it's going to be interesting to see if Matheson, John Hall, and all those guys are willing to ride behind JT Poole here on no tires. That's It's going to be really what JT Poole needs is clean air, but I'm not sure if he'll have that option.
Matheson chases Poole over to the right.
It's Balliet, big run.
Big wiggle there from JT.
Island, third lane.
Tried the middle as well. Mason Kane slots in between the 21 and 52. That was dicey as he pops back into the world. 45 to go.
Yeah, it's going to be tough to deal with a 31 if that keeps happening. It's happened all race long, but hasn't hurt him just yet. Poole leads. Matheson he's glued to his rear bumper. Wineland wants to go now. He's the one being the aggressor on the third lane. Kane to the bottom lane, right in front of Balliet.
Yeah, Eric Wineland's not waiting around. He's got help from Anna Sogak if Justin can pull up there. 3 wide for third place. Wineland's got a big run coming.
Big run.
To the outside and battling for the lead now into turn 1.
Mason Kane also on 4 tires, got to the bottom with Balliet. He's going to go back to the lead just that quickly. That top lane kind of died down through the corner. Wineland and Matheson hit.
Tried to pull the block, but it wasn't going to work. The 26 shoots the gap to the middle and back to the front.
You'll see the run Kane gets on the bottom through the corner. He'll get an edge back on him. Oh, we got a spin in the back. I couldn't tell. I think that was Bobby Tinch sliding, but he saved it and they stayed green.
It is Bobby Tinch. 3 by 3 by 3. It's wild up front here. No way we do this for more than a couple laps at a time.
Oh, it might not take another 2 corners here. Poole is pinching hard to Mason Kane. This might give a chance for Wineland to get a big run down the back straightaway, but it won't be enough to clear.
Still 3 wide. Kane, Poole, and Wineland 3 across for the top spot.
He didn't think it was time to go. This should show you.
This is why I like the track position play. I just don't know for JT if I want to be in the middle with 19 lap, 20 lap old tires. But I like being here better than 5th in this pack. I mean, I'd rather be, well, his 5th is only the 2nd row.
Yeah, there's really nowhere to go at this point. His bed's made in the middle. You just got to hope the tires last long enough for him to handle up there. And Kane hit. Oh, they got away with it that time. I don't know how. Kane somehow gets the lead out of it. Stafford's going to go to the third lane now. It's only JT Poole and Jake Matheson in the middle at this point. Joey Chapman's going to try to get up there with him, though. But that top line seems to be dying now.
This is tense stuff. Jake Matheson looks really calm at the moment. See, his hands are at work, though.
Big run in the middle this time. Poole is already sliding in the middle of the corner in turns 3 and 4.
Only Kane's clear. That will leave him the opportunity to kind of control the lanes. That's where you get into the danger, though. As soon as you start blocking these runs, no one can see anything. So they're just going to run into each other. And the old rule about draft racing, don't push the pusher. And I just don't think they have a choice. The 07 tight up onto the 52 and 26.
Kane and Matheson are almost both clear of the Wineland and Anna Sogak machines. That top line had a surge. I think Wineland and Anna Sogak had the right idea, but it just seems like we saw with JT Poole on his own, even with help, that top line just doesn't have enough steam in the middle of the corners.
Less than 40 laps to go. We're still 3 wide for 2nd. And a couple Miller Racing trucks in the center, pushing 26.
Even those guys on the bottom are working. Balliet's just back and forth, long on the wheel.
Yeah, Wineland's losing grip on this. Anna Sogak isn't able to push super effectively now. But the bottom is
wall. Eachin.
Oh, yeah, the 69's slow, but he'll have enough time to pull off of it. When the field's that condensed, the 07 to the middle, and he was chasing that truck across the track.
This is where it becomes danger zone for JT Poole in dirty air. Maybe if he's getting loose, it could be better for him, but the tire wear is going to be accelerated. His handling is going to get worse and worse in dirty air.
Down the back straightaway into turn 3.
Oh, sideways.
Balliet hasn't been up front, at least leading this pack all night long yet. So this is going to be interesting. He's in a brand new environment. Look at the 52. Drops JT into the inside lane. The 20 of, who's that in the bottom lane? Ryan Swan in the 20.
Ryan Swan? Where did he come
HyperX truck.
from?
I don't know. I haven't talked about him all night. Look at this. 3 wide for 2nd. Kane got a push from both the 07 and the 8 of Brad Slaughter simultaneously.
And now it's the top line with the drivers in it. Only 2 in the middle once again. I got about 5 or 6 trucks up on the top, but very spread out at least as I rumble through turn 3 camera. Just looks like that middle is starting to lose steam, and Weiland could get clear into turn 1.
Yeah, ideally this middle lane drops away and it leaves you the inside and the outside, but Brad Slaughter's not waiting around, and he's going to give that middle lane some much-needed rejuvenation.
Shane Therian's pushing Mason Kane on the bottom. Another one, where'd he come from? I haven't talked about him at the front all night, but he's in the battle right now.
You just can't maintain this for that long. I mean,
they hit.
It's impressive.
Oh, they're sliding.
I don't know how long they can keep it like this.
Oh my gosh, who's that in front of him?
Shane Wolf. He got out of the way last time. I'd expect him to do the same this time.
Gary Waterworth. I think the smoke was from Gary Waterworth actually, but he kept it straight. This is the point in the race where you definitely got to go to the apron.
And he will do so. Waterworth is just up the road. He's going to do the same.
And that top side, after Wineland's slide contact with Slaughter, kind of killed Anna Sogak. Wineland got to the middle, but the 88 stuck up there, as is, importantly, I think that's John Hall stuck on the top.
Yeah, he's dropped out of this as well. So in the vacuum of that 3-lane wide maneuvering, is anybody going to take advantage of it and go back up there when there's no one there? You've got maneuverability now. There's a place to go that's not directly following the truck in front of you, but you can't do it for too long. Somebody will fill that gap. Might as well be you.
You need a big commitment from the driver pushing you, I think, to go up
Slaughter.
there. Look at those guys. Him and Balliet are out of whack. Even Therian sliding. You got drivers, some on 2 tires. Slaughter's one of those 2-tire drivers, as is Balliet and Matheson as well. So a lot of these drivers are not going to be handling well for the next 30 laps.
30 laps, 33 to go. There's still so much time left in this race. Now it's almost calmed down 2x2 again. It's still very tight 2x2. Not a lot of space between trucks, and they're all pushing very aggressively. But at least there's a bit of room to breathe.
I think that was Slaughter. Oh, no, sorry, Weishart was in the wall in the background.
Yeah, he's in it. Was in it.
I think Peachin blocked him into the wall. I guess you could say it's calmed down. I don't think I'd describe it as that, but...
I mean, it's a relative feeling.
Yeah.
I mean, it's as calm as New York City traffic.
Yeah, one way to put it. We're definitely back to what we had earlier with the consistent 2x2.
Wineland's going to take center. The 0-7 lost the nose. He's in the fence.
That was just at the point when the 2 tires are starting to fall off. It didn't even look, they just got incredibly tight and couldn't hold that bottom, that middle lane. Weiland's on 4 tires. He's going to be able to keep that lane. Yeah,
JT didn't take the 0-7 3-wide. I don't think he feels like he's got the maneuverability to go there right now. That's a problem because with 30 laps to go, this is when you kind of need your maneuverability to be good.
Oh, sideways. Who was that on the bottom? Very sideways. That was
Now the question is, if you get an accident now, if you have another chance to hit pit lane, do you come to pit lane? I want the maneuverability, but the track position seems to be a good place, especially with the restart. You know you're going to get shorter runs from there on out. So if we get a yellow, that's going to really mix things up, I think, at the front. I want fresh tires, I want maneuverability, but I don't want to get trapped in the pack if others aren't going to pit.
That's the issue with the drivers who took no tires or 2 tires this time, because if you get another yellow in the next few laps, there goes Bobby Tinch, but if you get a caution in the next few laps, you just took 2 tires, you probably have to take 4, but you can't take 4 because of the tire situation. You're going to go in the back. You're probably not going to get back up there unless the 3rd line really surges, and there's probably going to be another wreck if we get 1 more yellow. So for guys like JT Poole and Jake Matheson, it's going to be a very, very hard decision.
Bronson Stafford right behind JT Poole. We saw these drivers ride each other's quarter panels and blind spots all night long. And Bronson is in a position to repay the favor, but for now, they're nose to tail.
Slaughter has probably been the truck I've seen out of shape the most tonight, but he's on 2 tires leading that top line. He takes the lead in the 1, but he's been struggling the most. So we're really going to have to look at the 8 truck in the next 10 laps.
Somehow he's only led 1 lap this entire race. He's been up front for most of it, hasn't dropped beyond the top 10, but only led 1.
Close to making it 2.
Oh, 38 big bobble. Man, these trucks are all out of shape. Peachin loose in the background as well.
There is lap number 2 for Slaughter as the 69 gets it straightened out once again, but It just seems like such a better surge on the bottom from Theory and entering the corner. He's good at pushing. That's where that middle lane gets that surge on the edge of the corners, but Theory very good at getting back to the bumper on corner entry to give Mason Kane that surge that he needs to probably keep the lead.
Hands are much steadier in the 8 truck right now. And Eric Wineland has been in position all night long. Don't count him out. He has played a very smart race this evening.
Can't count anyone in this pack out. About 33 trucks deep, separated by only 2 seconds. Anyone can win it from Mason Kane back to Garrett Grant.
Garrett Grant, for reference, 33rd place.
I would not count him out, but you see that top line kind of getting formed out. Kane got pushed up. Here goes Theory into the bottom.
38 to the inside lane with a big push from Jake Matheson. And who's on the outside coming with a head of steam? That's the 03. No, the 61 rather. Similar trucks.
Bronson Stafford and Joey Chapman. Chapman hit the wall. He's in the wall. He's coming down.
Oh, crash. Back straightaway. 2 trucks in the wall. Weishart is one of them.
Oh, he clipped another. Kept it straight though.
No.
Oh, Green Culberson hit him hard.
They're still
no
green.
caution.
We're going to bookmark that one and look at it later. For now, still 2x2 up front. Kane, Darian, Slaughter, Matheson, Wineland, your top 5.
Weishart's night couldn't get any worse. He crashed about 5 times last night, none out of his control as well. It was not a good week so far for him, but somehow they stay green, and somehow Mason Kane, through all that, has continued to lead. And he got back to the bottom through all that.
All right.
Darian's tried to give the bump and run to him as there's debris on the bottom. No caution for that. But Slaughter up the track. Here goes Wineland middle. Can't do it.
All right, you keep an eye on the live here. We're going to take a quick look at the 33. There's Chapman in the wall, bounces off, collects the 33, sends him in the fence. That's where the crash started. Then the 81 of Culberson right here is going to get tagged, or tags Chapman. And that's where the rest of that crash finished up. All right, back to live. Now that
You didn't miss anything, you're good.
Yeah. Just took us a lap. And we're 21 laps to go, 22 laps to go next time by.
You're seeing those 2 tires start to struggle. Slaughter, same thing happened with Valiette. It just happened earlier to him because of the dirty air. But even in clean air, Brad Slaughter is starting to lose the nose in turn 3 and giving that middle lane some room. He's giving Wineland room to potentially make that move. I just don't think Wineland wants to lead this line quite yet. It's also giving room if Therian wanted to move up, could probably occupy that space where the 8's sliding up. So that's something to look at as well.
Bouncing around a bit on the bottom in that 38. He doesn't look super comfortable, nor does the 52. He's wrenching at the wheel quite a bit as well.
2 tires from him as well.
Yep. See the 38 out of turn
man.
4? Just big, and he's doing this every corner. Big wiggles out of the turns.
I don't know if that's because Matheson's just laying on his bumper or what. Oh, Stafford got sideways in the back. They're making contact. Kept it straight that time. That was him and Peachin, I think.
They're somewhat out of the woods. Back to double file. Coming to 20 laps to go. Watch the 38 walk up the hill. That thing is out of control.
Yeah, I'm sure he probably wants to shove Kane aside again and get clean air, but even that might hurt. That might make him even more loose, so just a bad spot to be in at this point in the race, but you kind of have to deal with it at this point. As you can see, just look at the rear end of this thing, not just sawing on the wheel back and forth, back and forth.
Yeah, that thing is not
and then
comfortable.
Right here, right there out of the final corner, it's the worst one of all for him the last few laps. But he's still able to maintain and push Mason Kane and keep him in this battle.
How tight they off into 3. That truck's not handling well. Doesn't have any air on the nose. He's getting jacked up by the 52 in the rear. That thing's handling terrible. And that's where TW goes, no, they're handling good.
Yeah. Well, Wineland is getting more aggressive with the pushing. I think he was laying off Slaughter the last 5-10 laps or so, but he's pushing hard this time. Slaughter's even clear this time. He might try to push Slaughter clear so he can have a run, but just the 8 getting clear this time.
The absolute laser focus on these drivers right now is just insane. There's Eric Wineland. Here's a look at Jake Matheson. Look how quick those hands are moving. Quick adjustments, quick changes, but just focus. And then even JT Poole, 4th in the outside lane. Stoic as they do this battle with 18 laps to go.
And he's another one still struggling with 2 tires, but keeping it up there for the time being. Most of the drivers who took 2 are able to stay inside the top 10, but majority of them are not able to lead lines and really be a factor for the race win at this point, besides probably Brad Slaughter and maybe Shane Theory. Another big run for that middle lane.
Oh,
here goes
52
Matheson,
out of
middle,
line.
bottom.
And he's going to get there. 3 wide into 1.
Got to be ready. Balliette's got to be aware they're 3 wide. Matheson, I saw him testing that top-to-bottom move in the dogleg last time by. He made it work that time, but there's no one on the bottom really besides him and Mason Kane now.
Now he's got the lips pursed. This is wild stuff. Balliette on the outside.
Slaughter to the bottom.
Mason Kane to the bottom. Look at him go.
Ooh, below the red and white line a little bit there. That's going to be a little borderline. They're going to stack up the middle. Balliette's to the top with no help out of all this. Dylan Lee just barely got in line as well. I don't know how Kane kept the lead through all that.
16 laps to go. Fight is on. Bare knuckle brawl here at Atlanta Motor Speedway in the 4th round of the Area Truck Series. The playoffs aren't for months, but we are fighting as if it's the last race of the season. The 07's in the wall.
Still trying to get a reading on that Mason Kane pass. He could have been forced, but either way, he leads that bottom line still somehow. Slaughter almost had him clear, but it's still him and Wineland up there as Balliette loses a lot of track position through that, and Therian's 3rd on the top through all that.
Dead even here for 2nd place. Kane still the commanding, controlling truck, but Brad Slaughter almost had the 31 cleared. He had to give up the inside lane in turn 4 last time, or they were all going in the fence.
Yeah, that was very, very close, but he did have to give it up. That would have been a crash regardless. Kind of reminds you of when Joey forced Chase below the line. But either way, look at all these trucks. We're still about 28 trucks strong at this point in the race. But these guys are pinching as hard as they have all night on older tires, coming to about 13 laps to go. They're only going to get more and more tight from here. And now I just wonder, is Jake Matheson committed to Mason Kane, or is he going to try that move on to 31 next time by?
32 lead changes and counting. Slaughter's running up the hill there just a little bit, pulling down to the 31, but Kane gets a good run out of turn 4. And what's Matheson going to do? He's waiting, lurking in that inside groove.
Just not much you can do at this point besides just stay in your line and hope it works out for you. It's so late in the run on old tires, it's going to be hard to maneuver and not have a crash happen. So you're almost committed at this point to the first line or second line.
I think where you want to be is in second in the outside or inside line. I don't know if you want to be leading any of those packs. You know you're on the chopping block here. Give me 5 to go. I want to be in the front.
That the second driver in the top lane, I believe that's where Tommy Ryan won from 2 seasons ago, albeit with some contact, but it is not the worst place in the world to be by any means. I think you definitely have to be in the top 2 rows, I would say, to have a chance at this win as Therian starts to struggle, wash up the track, but definitely no chance from 5th on back unless a crash happens.
Look who's slowly making their way forward. James Scioli, 39th, had only run outside of the top 20 until about 10 laps ago, and here he is in 13th place. There's a big pack of lappers up there as well that they will catch before the end of this race. When it's just one truck, yeah, I think you can expect them to go to the inside. When it's 5 or 6 trucks battling to stay on the lead lap, you can't expect them to move. You're going to have to drive through them, and that will break up this pack. So where do you want to be when you get there? Start planning that now.
They're racing too. Nathan Jump and Beckner are blocking each other. I don't know what that's about, but you definitely got to hope they're courteous and even with 7 trucks get out of the way, because I don't think even at this point it's worth staying in line. So if I'm that pack of lap trucks, I get out of the way. But if you're not going to get out of the way, they stick bottom. You got to be ready for it if you're Slaughter. You have to give the 31 room, but you have to be able to not give them too much room to the point where you can get clear. 10
laps to go, and that second group of trucks, if they're battling for position, yes, it's nice to move over, not required, and they're battling for to stay on the lead lap. If we get a yellow, they could be in this show. JT's in the fence in 3 and 4, so they have to fight. They can't just pull over, because if they get a yellow, they're right back in this fight. So I think you have to fight as much as no one wants to hear it. 9 laps to go. It's still game on, front and rear of the field.
That didn't look like tire wear. It almost looked like JT Poole is an issue. He'll drop all the way to the back. He's in the wall out of turn number 2, but he keeps it straight. Either way, still Kane and Slaughter leading these lines. No third lane really going yet. Justin Osogak in ninth. He's about the first driver I'm seeing try it, but no avail quite yet. 9 laps to go.
Yeah, something's up with JT. Dropped to the rear. Saw the sigh. Just almost disbelief. I don't know what it is, but he's definitely frustrated. Disappointed.
Maybe auto fuel. Yeah, definitely he was going to get a good finish, but without a yellow, it's all taken out of contention for that. While this still rages on.
Couple trucks dropping out.
This is
Vector's pulling out of the groove there, so I think they're going to dissipate this.
Not all of them, though. Still going to have 4 on track.
Yeah, I think
that's probably worst case scenario when you have drivers doing different things.
Yeah, almost, right? I mean, you'd rather them just all commit to whatever they're going to do. 7 to go. Mason Kane's in the catbird seat. He's been the most dominant truck, the most aggressive truck. He's got the most practice throwing blocks, but that's a problem.
Yeah, that's
a big problem. He's back, but man, don't love that.
It hurts his run too. He loses momentum. It gives Slaughter a run back at him. Ooh, and Osogak's almost in the wall. Those drivers on old tires are struggling even more and more. That middle lane's just not going anymore.
All right,
here comes lap trap.
Yeah, this is a moment of truth. You got to pick your line now. Mason Kane does not want to get trapped on the bottom. Neither does Matheson. You don't want to get trapped here. You're going to have to give something up. You all can't have all the racetracks. So 5 laps to go coming to it. Some trucks drop into the apron. Some trucks still on the road.
This is not right.
Inside.
To the bottom. Apron.
Oh, boy. Shane Wolf right in the middle of the road.
Slaughter got held up.
Well, they didn't
That's just
communicate, did they?
And they still got Sam Fontaine to deal with. You got to communicate that. That can't happen at the end of a race. We've seen it too many times as Waterworth's going to the apron as well.
They just all got to do the same thing, right?
Yeah. It's
71's in the fence. Shane Wolf following. All right, we got it cleared. And it didn't effectively change a whole lot. Brad Slaughter still has assistance from Wineland in the 21. Coming to 4 to go this time through. Get to the white. That's the goal for Mason Kane. Get to the white and then just start defending.
Wonder if that's the goal for Brad Slaughter, or would he want a yellow in this case? I'm not sure what he thinks is. Oh, we got a car on the apron trying to make a move. I think that was maybe the 05. I couldn't tell who that was. One of the elite trucks went to the apron to make a move. That's going to be a borderline penalty as well. I think it was Jack Jones.
Coming to 3 to go. Slaughter Jr.'s got a slight advantage here. He's got Wineland in behind him. Shane Therian in the 38. Which line's got the stronger push? 3 to go from Atlanta.
Wondering, Matheson's tried that over-under move in the dog leg a few times. He keeps looking low, but I think that's really just Mason Kane trying to get an arc. He is all over his bumper in the corner, just wondering if the 52 is just waiting for a move. But if you wait for that move, you might not have to push behind you to get the win doing that. So I don't know if he really has a choice whether or not to push the 31.
Wineland gave Brad Slaughter Jr. a nice shove through 3 and 4. Coming to 2 laps to go. Mile and a half till this race ends under green.
Still no movement from a third lane. I don't think it's going to happen. Just not enough momentum up there at this point in the race to happen. I think it's just Kane, Slaughter. They might make more contact. Oh, crash way hard hit in the back with Bronson Stafford. Caution's out. This will go to a green-white checkered again.
Oh, big hit there on the bottom. Sean Peachin in the 69 also involved. And everyone breathes a collective sigh because they're going to have to rack him up, stack him up, and do it again. Let's have a look at the 61 and the 69, how they got together. They were nose to tail. 61 of Stafford. Ooh.
Oh, another hard hit. It looks like Peachin checked up for Scioli, and Stafford got caught between staying behind him or going 3 wide.
It was just the tiniest. I mean, that was the smallest touch. I mean, just look at how little that was. That was so minor, but a huge impact for Peachin. And then you see the 61 follow him right into the outside wall. That was just unlucky.
Just happens at the end of these races. Fambro, he gets away with one a little bit. Senesac clears it. Kyle Seek took a hard hit to the right side door as well. Just another one of those wrecks that should have collected a dozen, but it doesn't. No pun intended.
Whew, all right. Take a break, take a second. We're going to go to overtime. We are on the last, well, we're past the last scheduled lap now, so we're going to be in overtime now at least 124 laps. So 4 laps of overtime. Well, we've got a second. I don't think anyone in their right minds would come to pit lane right now. You want track position for sure. And race fans, head over to simwrapmarket.com for custom iRacing paint scheme templates that are simple and easy to use, so it keeps you more focused on the racetrack. And be sure to check out rickshotsauce.com for some of the best hot sauces made locally in South Florida. Try the Loxahatchee Classic, Golden Garlic, Palm Beach Pineapple, or South Beach Heat. Follow the Rick's Hot Sauce Rookie of the Year battle in the Area Cup Series and see which driver will take home the $100 prize as the highest finishing rookie in the point standings. And fall is here, and before you know it, so will winter. Bundle up this season with shop.areairacing.com and shop from our selections of champion hoodies, jackets, and sweatshirts. Easier to shop, quicker to ship, better to wear. That's shop.areairacing.com. So, Mason Kane, Brad Slaughter Jr. have been the dominant pack leaders here. Do you think they just realign with those that they were with prior to that caution and just try to repeat it? Or, I mean, I think now we could expect a third line to come just because it's going to be all about building momentum on the restart. So what do you choose if you're Mason Kane?
I don't know. I think you got to choose the bottom just because I think Matheson, you're going to have to force Matheson to be committed to you. I think if he took the top in front of, it would be Eric Wineland. I don't think Eric Wineland, we saw him make that 3-wide move on the last restart. I don't think he's going to be committed if Kane took the top. I think Slaughter's trying to force him into the top.
Well, so here's why I want the bottom. For a different reason, I want the bottom because I'm going to get the jump, have the shorter way around for at least the restart lap. And the reason why that matters is because if we get a caution flag, I want to be ahead. And if you're on the outside, you're going to get that run down the backstretch. You might not be leading through 1 and 2, though, and I think that's a critical area to be leading. I want to be ahead the whole time. Don't want to give up anything there just in case a yellow comes out. So I like Kane's decision here. Camp 31. So who is your pick again? Remind me.
It was JT Poole.
Okay, so JT is going to restart 29th. He's a lap down.
Lap down.
Jake Matheson was my pick. He restarts 3rd. Still liking that pick. Should have picked the 31 though. That 31 truck has been very strong. Brad Slaughter Jr. has been very strong.
I told JT last night I'd pick him. So I told him if he got pole, but I still picked him anyways. But you know, that's whatever. But yeah, Mason Kane, that'd be 2 nights in a row the pole sitter would win if he could pull this off.
Something to note for the Thursday night Florida State Builders Pro Series race.
Actually, look at the top 4. Kane started 1st, Slaughter started 2nd, Matheson started 3rd, Wineland started 4th.
Well,
track position.
122 laps, and not much has changed, Connor. A lot of stuff in between those 2 laps, but here we go. 2 laps. We're in overtime. If the caution comes out, the race is over. Positions are frozen at the time of caution. Mason Kane, Brad Slaughter Jr. in command. Green flag back in the air from Atlanta.
A lot of wheel spin from Slaughter there. Really didn't get his line going, but Kane might be even too far out, but I don't expect him to really move lanes here. Veering to the bottom.
It's good for Matheson here. If he can just get enough of a run to push that 31 clear and then jump to the outside, that's what I'd be doing, but Matheson doesn't have the run.
I think Mason Kane's really got to try to keep Matheson boxed in. If Matheson gets the run to the top, he will take it. He has to try his best to keep in front of an 8, but also box Jake Matheson in.
Here we come out of turn 4. If we get to the white, we're racing this to the end. White flag, 1 to go here at Atlanta. Side by side, Slaughter and Kane.
Slaughter has the edge into turn number 1, but Kane did lead that lap. Really no time for a 3rd lane. It's likely down to these 2.
Down the back straightaway for the final time. Matheson gives his final shove. Wineland gives his final shove. Additional help from the 38 of Therian into turn 3. It'll be a drag race all the way back around to the finish.
Ooh, Slaughter might have to run out of 4th. They might have to make contact. They might make contact.
Checkered flag waving, side by side. Kane and Slaughter. Who wins it?
Slaughter. I think Slaughter got him.
Brad Slaughter. No, Kane.
No,
Slaughter.
It was Brad Slaughter.
Holy cow.
Oh. 3/1000th of a second, and everyone's dead in turn number 1, including our race winner.
The results didn't even know what order to throw that for a minute.
Oh my goodness, what a finish.
Has to be one of the closest finishes in Area Truck Series history.
Oh my goodness, that was incredible. At the last second, he got the run.
That was crazy. Right here. This is your margin of victory here at Atlanta. I don't even
margin.
I mean, that is so close. How do you call that? That is awesome.
man.
2 by 2. And Brad Slaughter Jr. pulls that off by 3/1000ths of a second. That is an inch or 2. Look at the rear spoilers. It's 2 inches.
That is incredible. Matheson getting off of Kane's bumper at the last second. That could have made the difference 100%. But even with a destroyed race truck, Slaughter's going to victory lane, getting some congrats from Wineland, who helped him up there.
Wow.
I can't believe that. That was incredible. Cue the Kyle Petty.
That's incredible. Brad Slaughter celebrates. That was wild. Let's get another look at it here before we talk to him here in just a moment's time. Out of 3 and 4. Just this last push from Eric Wineland. This is what wins him the race.
I think neither of the pushers really stayed committed at the line. It just seemed like the run out of 4, that tiny bit of extra banking, made a little bit of a difference, including a little side draft. And it just barely, like you said, it might even be under an inch. Literally everyone crashed past the line after that. And even through all that, we didn't talk about him all night, but we'll talk about him later. I think Skylerly gets 8th out of this. Incredible.
It's like he managed to salvage the finish at Kentucky last week from absolutely nowhere. Slaughter still doing burnouts down there. That was a fun one. Let's have a look at our race results here from Atlanta Motor Speedway. It is Brad Slaughter Jr. by 3/1000ths of a second over Mason Kane, Eric Wineland, Jake Matheson, and Shane Therian.
It's a tie for 3rd. Look at that.
Actually, it was down to the 100,000th between, the 100,000th between Wineland and Matheson. Now, on my timing screen, if the gap between trucks is an actual tie, that means goes beyond the 100,000th, it will show me a gap of dash, but it shows me 0.000. So that goes down to the 100,000th between Wineland and Matheson. We don't get access to those data values on the front end here, but iRacing on the back end does have them. Swan, Hall, Scioli, Cacchione, and Joshua Bally at the rest of the top 10. Connor, what a battle. Here's a look at the top 20.
Yeah, that was an incredible battle at the finish. It was a battle all the way through the field. The top 17 separated by less than a second, all the way back to Michael Curhan. I didn't even note him. I don't know how he got back to 17th after a pit road crash, but he was able to get there. Bell 11th. Lee had some incidents. Fambro and Sogak fell back to 14th. Alex Cummings was in the crash. 15th, Kyle Ryan. Greg Mitchell 20th. A few drivers who kind of salvaged something, even though it's just the top 20.
Yeah, look down the rest of the order there at trucks that didn't have such a great night. JT Poole had so much pace, just couldn't parlay it together with that late race wall contact. And down the rest of the order, trucks that had some crashes even late in the game. Sean Peachin, Bronson Stafford, Kyle Sieg, Travis Beckner as well. There's a look at all your results. Let's talk to your 3rd place runner. That was Eric Wineland, pushing and shoving, finding speed somewhere, but there was just too packed in to go anywhere at the end. But you gave Brad Slaughter Jr. that final shove out of turn 4, and you bring it home into 3rd. And by the way, a tie down to the 100,000th for 3rd place between you and Jake Matheson.
Yeah, that was awesome, wasn't it? We qualified lightning fast. I didn't expect that out of me. I mean, I expected a decent run, like a top 15 or something like that. But when we qualified top 5 there, I couldn't believe it. So I was so hype, and just the goal. I talked to JT pre-race, and the goal was we didn't want to give up track position, and I really didn't do that today, and I'm proud of myself for that. I was able to mix it up with the guys, learn super speedway racing with a couple of the guys around us a little bit, and who I was comfortable around, who I wasn't. Mason Kane's connection definitely had me uncomfortable the entire time with that rear end bouncing around a little bit, but it's still a good time racing him. The 2 Georgia boys leading the way. What a surprise, right? We talked about it yesterday on the Cup Series side of things, but yeah, Kyle, that was an awesome race and quite a finish. It was pretty fun.
Yeah, I mean, coming across the line there between Brad and Mason, how focused were you on your own gap between you and Jake, and then on the lead gap between Brad and Mason?
I'll be honest, not focused on mine at all until maybe the last 5 feet. I told Brad in the voice chat, and I'd say with like 30 or 50 to go, I said, I feel like I'm in the old VRA days. If anyone goes back and watches Cup Series Season 1, Brad and I were teammates with Alan Elwood and many others from good old Virtual Alliance Racing that turned into Elwood Design Esports. But we had a good time. It was just like the good old days on Super Speedways with him. I know I can trust him out in front on my bumper, and it was all about making the run and figuring it out. And I told him with 20 to go, I said, keep in mind what we just did to almost get clear. because that I felt like was going to potentially win us the race. It didn't turn out that way because of the yellow, but still, nonetheless, I focused everything off 4 to hit as square as I could on his rear bumper without lifting, give him the best shove I could toward the line. And then once I know I gave him the best shove, I pulled out to see if I could get any sort of gap on Matheson. And I guess it worked out. We ended up in a tie. So pretty cool. And I can't thank Go Slow enough, the team, JT and Dylan for hanging out with me and helping cheer me on, and also all of us working together. Sunny South Raceway on the hood, they are the lone sponsor for Go Slow. So shout out to them for giving us, and JT Pool, obviously, for some great trucks. I mean, that white and blue, as I'm watching it across the line there, looks awesome. I can't thank Connor Okresic, the team owner, enough as well. And all the guys here at Area that put the show on. Obviously, you guys here at Sim TV, especially letting me come out and hang out on Monday nights as well, guys. And Jacob Bell and Carter Coop and all the admins that get it done behind the scene as well. We couldn't build this sort of league without them, and I'm very much appreciative of them.
Eric Wineland, third place tonight in the number 21. Eric, thanks so much.
Have a good night, guys.
Thank you. You as well. And Mason Kane comes home in second place by just 3/1000ths of a second. Mason, that one has got a sting. I know you led a whole bunch of laps tonight, 81 of the 124 laps tonight, and just lost it by 2 inches. We looked, it was no more than 2 inches, and I know that's got to be frustrating, but coming out of tonight, you got to feel good about the way you ran.
Brad Slaughter, man, it's been 9,000ths of a second for the past 2 weeks. I'm about tired of losing to the dang guy. I love Brad to death, and I'm glad that he won it. You know, if it wasn't me, I'm glad that he was. But yeah, that sucks. We've been right there for the past 2 seasons, kind of, and last season was, not what I wanted it to be, and this season has started off great, at least in this series. Last night wasn't what I wanted at all. I don't know what happened last night, but I feel like last night we had a chance to win it as well. But it's stuff's starting to click around here. I mean, it's starting to. I don't know. This whole series is hard, and I thought it wasn't gonna be this hard when I came in, but you got to work for what you got. But yeah, this one sucks. This one definitely, this one definitely sucks.
Well, came up just a little bit short. On pole, though, led 81 laps, came home in second by just a couple of inches. Mason, great job tonight. It was fun to watch you battling up there with Brad in the closing laps. And here's a look at the finish for you, by the way, on screen. Just 3/1000ths of a second. This is all it was right at the stripe there. I mean, it's so close.
We're both Georgia guys, and I became friends with Brad here recently, really pretty close, and he's a great guy. And if anybody was going to lose it too, it was him. And last week seemed to be the same damn thing. So we're going to keep the rivalry going all season. But I'm just glad Jake was behind me all year, or all race. He kind of coached me through the last kind of things, and he did a hell of a job. And he's been dominating this season. And Miller Racing, we've been. The momentum this season has been ridiculous, and Dawson's brought a bunch of good guys up here so far.
Yeah, it's been fun to watch. Mason Kane, second place tonight in the number 31. Mason, congrats, and we'll see you later.
Yeah, man, I got some sponsors to thank.
Go for it.
I know last time I blew it out of the frame with not even be able to pronounce them, but Calusa Pines Landscaping, Thomas, no, that's the old one, but Area Shop, Huggett Films, Miller Racing, of course, and those guys do a great job. And thank y'all so much for broadcasting this stuff. Hopefully I get to talk to y'all more this year.
That's a good goal, Mason. Thanks for talking to us. We'll see you next time.
I appreciate y'all.
Brad Slaughter Jr. wins a hometown race, Brad, by 3/1000ths of a second. Whoop-de-doo. Outside lane was the place to be. A push from Eric Wineland in the last moment by 2 inches, Brad. That's got to be exhilarating.
That was, exhilarating to say the least. I actually told David at one point during that race, I checked my Apple Watch here. I was up to about 145 on the old heart rate at various points throughout that race. It was so tense in the middle of those packs, man. But got a good bunch, man. Everybody up here in the front. I mean, it was pretty much the same cast of characters the entire race with Matheson, Eric, and Mason up there basically the entire race. It felt like. But yeah, man, those guys raced awesome. We put on a barn burner there. I feel like as much of a barn burner as it can be at this track, man. I honestly kind of hate what they did to this place. I'm not a massive fan of it, but was able to pull one out. But again, I would much rather prefer the old format, the old layout.
Well, just like Connor last night, the winner still says, I liked it the way it was. But, Brett, hey, that was a fun race to watch. Coming out of 4, I asked Eric Wineland which relative he was looking at. And for us, it took a moment for it to register. How tense was it in the 2 or 3 seconds before you knew that you won that race?
Actually, I thought I lost. I looked down at the scoring, I guess a little, as soon as we crossed the line, I looked down at scoring, and, it takes just a second to update. And I thought it had already updated. And it said 6/1000ths the other direction, and I was like, "No, I lost!" And then everybody was screaming at me that I got it, and I was like, "What? I got it!" And so I was blown away. I couldn't believe that. I feel like I could still see Mason's front fender out my windshield, so I didn't think there was any way that I got it. But 3/1000ths. That's got to be up there for closest in area history. I got to believe.
I thought it might be. We'll have to check on that at some later point.
Close. But just awesome race, man. Just shout out to Eric. Eric Wineland is this is just as much a win for me as it is for him. Just he don't get the points for it, but he definitely deserves it, man. He gave me some great pushes there the last 20 or 40 laps. He was glued to my bumper. So I really appreciate Eric, appreciate Mason and Jake for racing me clean there, and that's unbelievable. I didn't think I'd ever be able to get one here at this track with this layout, and we pulled one off.
Sure did, and the crash happened after the checkers tonight. Brad Slaughter Jr. wins here at Atlanta, and you're through to the playoffs. Congratulations.
Absolutely, that's right. Appreciate everybody tuning in. Thank you, guys.
We'll see you. Thanks, Brad. Wow, ends in a pile of smoke and fire, but the race itself was fire. That was an excellent race. One last look at the results before we sign off here tonight. Connor, just an excellent race. I had a lot of fun with that one. The late race yellow, I thought it was going to tee us up for kind of a disappointing end, but we did not get that.
No, that's probably the best finish we could have seen, with a crash after the line, not ruining anything, and the finish as close as it's ever been in area history. Might be the closest in area history. We'll have to go back and look at the other finishes as you go through the finishing order once again. That does put Brad Slaughter Jr. on the top for most area truck series wins. He was in a 3-way tie at 10 with Cameron Hearn and James Scioli, but Slaughter separates himself once again with that mark. The 2-time champion does it again through to the playoffs, and a big momentum booster for him. He hasn't had bad finishes, but probably not the way he wanted to start his area season, but this is a big step in the right direction for him.
I should also mention that where we were last season by race 4, as opposed to now as far as the race quality and racecraft, totally different place. We have bigger fields now, Connor. Remember how much trouble we had just getting green flag racing in last season? It has been a 180 flip, and it's been exhilarating to watch.
Yeah, just a lot more top-end talent, I think. Addition drivers like Jake Matheson, John Hall. Just a lot cleaner field throughout the entire cast of 43 drivers tonight. I had our hiccups here and there, but like you said, at the beginning of last season was not very good. Like you said, so much better this season. So much action through the first 4 weeks of this truck season. We still got one more race to go.
One more to go. We got the Florida State Builders Pro Series on Thursday, but next week is an off week. Don't tune in on Tuesday, nothing for you. It'll be 2 weeks from now, the Milwaukee Mile, 125 laps just north of Chicago. We'll see you there next week. 2 weeks. This Thursday, we'll see you for the Florida State Builders Pro Series. Thanks for watching. Kyle Heyer, Connor Horn with SimTV. We'll see you next time.